Well lads, what's the crack and welcome to today's video, and this is a very special video today lads because it is the return of my Club European prediction series, and I think this is a good place to start as I'll be trying to predict the entire Champions League phase for the 2025-26 season. I'm going to try to predict every single team's place from 36th place on to first place. Now, you're probably asking me how I did this, but I'll tell you now how I did do this. I found this site online called worldfootball.net. It's actually a very good site. There's so many great features, but one of the features they do have are table calculators for many leagues, including the Champions League. And so what I did was I went onto that website and I managed to put in some sort of prediction which I thought was going to happen for every single match week, for every single game which would take place in the league phase. And that's exactly how I've been able to calculate this table here. So I do warn you lads, this is pretty unrealistic. It probably will look completely wrong. However, I thought it would be a good way to open up my Champions League predictions for the season. And I think it'll be interesting to see as well how I do believe most of these teams, or all the teams really, will fare in this year's Champions League. It could go very well for me, it could go very wrong for me, but that is all part of the fun, I do guess. Let me know as well lads if you'd like to see me do this for the Europa League and the Europa Conference League as well, maybe. But anyway lads, before we get into this video, as always, remember to subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you're enjoying all my content as well, remember to like the video, as it really does go a long way to give me as much support as possible. Share this video with as many people as possible. Try to push this video out there as much as possible, and also click the bell so you never miss one of my latest uploads. And so then lads, it's got on my prediction video predicting the Champions League phase for the 2025-26 campaign. So then we'll start off with the sides who I'm going to say will get knocked out of the league phase this year. Starting off on rock bottom on 0 points they've got, it is from Azerbaijan, Karabag. I think Karabag overall are a very big side. I can't see them progressing on, and judging by their fixtures and all, I'm going to say they lose every single one of their games and will finish in 36th place. In 35th place then, also losing every single one of the games, I've actually gone for Union Saint-Gilloise of Belgium. Now, is it realistic they'll finish in 0 points? No. However, I still do believe they will get knocked out, and based off my predictions on the table calculator, they finish in 35th place then. In 34th place, I have got from Kazakhstan, Kairat Almaty on 3 points. I do believe Kairat Almaty will get a win from somewhere, maybe against Paphos at home turf. That definitely could be a big win there, of course, but apart from that, they're going to get knocked out. However, they will get a win, which still is big. So 34th then, I've gone for Kairat Almaty. 33rd place in 4 points, I've got Paphos from Cyprus. Not a bad team. I think they definitely will be better than some of the teams are going to be ahead, but still won't be good enough to stay in the competition. In 32nd then, also in 4 points, I've got from Norway, Bodo Glimt. Now, Bodo Glimt definitely could come a lot higher than 32nd because they've proven over the years that they're a very solid team when it does come to European football. Heck, they made the Europa League semi-finals last year. However, even though I do expect them to get a big win, maybe at home to Juventus, for example, I do believe overall they step into the Champions League, although they definitely can't adapt to it over the years. I'm going to say for their first year back in the Champions League anyway, it's going to be a step too far here. I think they will struggle for the most part, and so overall, I'm going to say although they will put in some very good, well-spirited performances, they're going to get knocked out here, and I'm going to say they finish 32nd on 4 points. In 31st then on 4 points as well, this could come as a bit of a shock, but I've actually got Sporting Club de Portugal. Sporting, in my opinion, lads, have really had a massive fall-off ever since Ruben Amorim left them for United last November. They've also lost their main talisman, Victor Gyökeres, as well, and I know they still have a decent squad, and I know they still are capable of maybe escaping the league phase into the knockouts. However, I do believe overall they've lost Amorim. They haven't really managed to fully recover from that loss of Amorim. They've lost Gyökeres as well, alongside a couple of other players, and so in my opinion, actually lads, we're going to see Sporting struggle, and in my opinion, then they're going to finish as low as 31st, only in 4 points. In 30th then, 5 points, if there's one prediction in this video, which it would definitely change, it's going to be this one, and maybe this sounds stupid, but in 30th place, I've actually got another Portuguese side. This time it is Benfica. I don't know, lads. I think Benfica could struggle a wee bit here, but then again, I could easily see them finishing in the knockout places. I'm not too sure about this one, lads, but how it's worked out, Benfica are going to struggle, only finishing 5 points, and get knocked out, finishing 30th place. In 29th place then, I've got on 6 points PSV Eindhoven. Once again, this one maybe isn't too great, but then again, it's not too surprising either. PSV could easily get to the knockouts once again, but then again, you never do know. They could have a couple of tricky fixtures in there, and that definitely could affect them big time. So anyway, in my opinion, I've got both PSV and Benfica getting knocked out early on in the league phase. Benfica finishing with 5 points, PSV in 6 points. As well as that then, on 6 points as well, I've got Eintracht Frankfurt to finish in 20th place. I can't see Frankfurt escaping the league phase, to be honest. I actually watched them play against Leverkusen there in the Bundesliga on Friday night. They lost the game there 3-1, even though Leverkusen they get 2 red cards in that game. And although there's a couple of decent players in there, such as Can Özcan, who's looked very good so far this season, I do believe overall Frankfurt overall aren't the best team, and so in my opinion, can I see them advance to the knockouts? No. So I'm going to put Eintracht Frankfurt then in 28th place. In 27th place then on 7 points, I've got Slavia Prague from the Czech Republic. I do believe they'll get a couple of good results here and there, but ultimately it's not going to be enough, and they're just going to narrowly get knocked out here in the league phase. In 26th place then, another side who I'm going to say will do surprisingly well is FC Copenhagen. I do believe they'll start off the campaign very well, but as it does progress on, they will worsen, and ultimately that's going to cost them a place in the knockouts. And the final team then in 25th place, I'm going to say will fail to reach the knockouts on 7 points as well, is going to be Atalanta. Yes, now Atalanta, I'm a big fan of their side. I do really like Atalanta. I think they're a quality side. However, the main reason to put them in 25th place is their manager Ivan Juric. We've seen already with his time in England and with Roma last season too, he's not a good manager. In my opinion, Gasperini left for Roma, obviously. Maybe that was out of Atalanta's control there. However, in my opinion, replacing Gasperini, who has been the greatest manager in Atalanta's history, with someone like Ivan Juric, in my opinion, it's just a terrible move there overall. And so overall, I'm going to say that move is going to cost Atalanta big time. They'll still be in contention for sure. They still definitely will be highly competitive. However, I'm going to say that's going to be a big downfall for them. And then just narrowly then, I'm going to say Atalanta will miss the cutoff and will get knocked out of the Champions League very early on this season. Now we move on to the sides who I'm going to say will just narrowly make the knockouts into the playoff zone, starting off then in 24th place and finishing on 7 points, just ahead on goal difference of the likes of Atalanta, FC Copenhagen and Slavia Prague. It is Athletic Club from Spain. In my opinion, Athletic Club definitely will be flirting with getting knocked out early on there. However, they're just about going to squeak through in the end there, of course. They've got a couple of very good players in there, such as the Williams brothers, who they've managed to keep this year. They've also re-signed players like Aymeric Laporte as well. So they still are a good side overall, but this is their first time in the Champions League in 11 years. And so ultimately, inevitably, I'm going to say they will struggle for the most part. However, they'll do enough just about, on the goal difference especially, and they'll just about manage to get into the knockouts, finishing 24th in the process here. And 23rd and 8 points, have actually got Olympiacos from Greece. I think Olympiacos are a very underrated side. They've got a couple of very good players in there. And as well as that then, actually, I do believe the scheduling of their fixtures, a couple of their so-called easier fixtures as well, are actually very favourable for Olympiacos as well. So we definitely can't see them picking up a good few points here and there. And ultimately, Olympiacos will scrape through, finishing 23rd on 8 points. Then on 22nd on 11 points, then a bit of a jump in terms of the points, but on 22nd, but Ajax, I think Ajax definitely will look pretty decent. They play some good football. They've got a couple of very good talented players in there as well. And so overall, I'm going to say the Dutch Giants will do enough to scrape through into the knockouts. In 21st place then, I've got Villarreal from Spain. I do believe Villarreal, another very decent side there, of course, and their first year back in the Champions League after a few years away. I think some of their fixtures are definitely favourable, and they're definitely that sort of side who you could see defeat one or two big dogs here and there. I think they're going to defeat Juventus at some point. I think they're also going to defeat Spurs maybe as well in their first game away from home as well. Wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And so overall, like, Villarreal are another side who can definitely provide some giant killings here and there. And so ultimately, I'm going to say the Yellow Submarine will manage to scrape through into the knockouts as well, finishing in 21st place. And 20th then, also on 11 points, I've got AS Monaco, a very good squad there. In my opinion, it's played some fantastic football as well. Goals galore on that side. And in my opinion, the French side definitely should be scraping through into the knockouts as well. In 19th place then, on 12 points, I've got Bayer Leverkusen from Germany here. Now, recently just sacked Erich ten Hag. They brought in Kasper Hjulmand, and as I did mention, I watched their game against Frankfurt on Friday night there, of course, in the Bundesliga, and I have to say, lads, they were looking very, very impressive under new management. Alejandro Grimaldo was very good, especially scoring his 2 free kicks fantastically, but as well as that then, I was really impressed by Nathan Tella, and I'm really excited to see how he does get on here in the Champions League. As well as that then, Patrick Schick was looking dangerous as well, scored a penalty there in that game as well too. Overall, a very good side. They've got experienced players in there as well, such as Lucas Vazquez, who they brought in from Real Madrid too. Their backline's looking very solid. Flacken's a decent goalkeeper. Gerald Kwanzaa's looking okay, and Edmund Tapsoba as well is also very underrated. And Robert Andrich in midfield, who's a very good German midfielder there as well. So overall, like, this Leverkusen side is still looking very, very good, very full of talent, even though they lost legs of Wirtz and Frimpong and many other players alongside Xabi Alonso as well during the summer. I do believe still under new management they still have got a very good squad squad there, and so should they be pulling through to the knockouts? 100% yes. So in 19th place then, I've gone for Bayer Leverkusen. In 18th place then, also in 12 points, another German side, it is Borussia Dortmund here. Dortmund once again should definitely do more than enough to pull through in the knockouts as usual. Now of course, maybe the shadow of their former selves maybe still aren't at their best, but they still have a very good squad in there, such as, like I said, Guirassy and Maximilian Bayer in the forward line, as well as that then the brought in players such as Joe Bellingham there in the midfield too. Definitely could be a joy to watch this year too. So overall, like, Dortmund still do have a pretty decent squad there in my opinion, and so I'm going to say Dortmund will pull through as well, finishing 18th place. And then on 17th place then, at 13 points, I've gone for Juventus. Now Juventus, in my opinion, it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if they were sort of in sort of an elimination fight there. It wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if they lost a couple of games in a row, hit some bad form during the season, and managed to even get knocked out here in the league phase. However, no, Thiago Motta's gone. Igor Tudor is now in as a new coach, and I do believe he will find some success here in the Juventus side. Yes, on paper they don't look good whatsoever, but still there's a couple of very good players in there, such as Kenan Yildiz, the Turkish wonder kid there, of course. Dusan Vlahovic as well, still good for a couple of goals here and there. They've got Bremer back in the centre back line. He's a very good player there too. So overall, still are decent enough side there. Di Gregorio as well in nets is also very underrated too. So overall, this Juventus side still are pretty good. I do believe they definitely will hit some good form and play pretty decent here in the Champions League phase. And so I'm saying they finished 17th on 13 points. Now we hit the top half of teams in the playoffs zone of the Champions League phase, starting off then in 16th place on 13 points as well. This could be a bit of a shock, lads, but I've actually gone for the Belgian side, Club Rouge. In my opinion, Club Rouge are going to be one of the dark horses in the Champions League phase this season. In my opinion, there's plenty of talent in that squad there, and they're just going to gel together like that. They're going to play so good. They're going to get a couple of fantastic victories, hit some very good form, and in my opinion, they're going to stun everyone, finish above Leipzig, Juventus and Borussia Dortmund, for example, and manage to finish 16th here, comfortably staying in the playoff zone. In 15th place then, also on 13 points once again, I've got Galatasaray from Turkey. And Galatasaray are a strange one. On one hand, you could easily see them finishing in around 15th place, maybe even above that. But on the other hand, then you could easily see them get knocked out and not even finishing the playoff zone in the Champions League this season. However, their squad is looking very good this year. They've managed to get Victor Osimhen back on the side. He's going to be an absolute weapon to have in the Champions League this season. They could have even had Emiliano Martinez. However, that deal has fallen through. But overall, still, they've got plenty of talent on that side. Like, they're a very good side. And in my opinion, this year in the Champions League, they're going to play really good football. And so overall, I'm going to say Galatasaray play fantastic and manage to get 15th place on 13 points. On 14th place then, finishing on 14 points, pretty poetically there, but I've gone for Newcastle United, the first English side here. It will finish as low as 14th. However, for a side like Newcastle, that's going to be a very good position there, in my opinion. Once again, like, you know, they're always capable of defeating the big teams, and I'm actually going to pep them to defeat Barcelona in the opening match week as well, and that definitely is going to set the tone for what was going to be a pretty successful league phase here for this Newcastle side. Eventually, they're going to kick into some good form. I do believe we're going to see a couple of goals from Leicester, Nick Voltamata and Johan Visa as well, Anthony Elanga too. They've got a very good squad there, of course. Their midfield is probably one of the best midfields in the entire competition as well, of Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton and Sandro Tonali as well. They're a very good side, lads, very underrated. You know, that sort of has been overshadowed by how hectic their summer transfer window has been, but overall I do believe Eddie Howe's doing a fantastic job there, and so in my opinion, Newcastle on their return to the Champions League after a year where will finish 14th with 14 points after a fantastic league phase here and their return to the Champions League. In 13th place and also on 14 points, I've gone for the French Giants, Marseille here. Once again, Marseille are a side who plays some fantastic football, great attacking football, plenty of goals on that side as well. Back in the Champions League after a short enough absence, I got players like Mason Greenwood, who's in the form of his life at the minute too. Overall, like, you know, their side is looking so good. They've got plenty of experienced players in there, plenty of wonder kids as well, and so overall, like, this Marseille side looking very exciting, and I can see them definitely finishing very high in the Champions League. So in 13th place then, I've gone for Marseille. In 12th place and 16 points, I've got Tottenham Hotspur. In my opinion, Tottenham will do very good in the Champions League this year. Their squad is looking very good, especially with the additions such as Mohamed Kudus, Xavi Simons too, João Palhinha in midfield is a fantastic signing there too from Bayern Munich as well. All those players in with likes of Richarlison, who's in fantastic form this season, as well as likes of Brennan Johnson as well. When he's back from injury, James Maddison is going to be a big player on that team too. And on their back line too as well, like Vicario is a very good goalkeeper, whatsoever. Van de Ven's quality, Romero's quality, even like the Jed Spence has been playing very good this season so far as well. So overall, like under Thomas Frank, I do believe the Spurs side are going to see plenty of success. Like we've seen already in the Super Cup final when they took on PSG, they were winning that game 2-0 and they were fantastic all game. However, they capitulated right at the end. They conceded 2 goals, lost game penalties there, of course. However, we did definitely see good glimmers of fantastic football and brilliance from that Spurs side that time around. Already this season, they defeated Man City at the Etihad too. So overall, like the Spurs side are looking very, very good this season. And in my opinion, will they manage to get the knockouts? Yes, and they will do so very comfortably as well. In 11th place then, on 17 points, I've got Atletico Madrid. I think once again, Atletico Madrid are going to be pretty good. However, just about won't do enough to squeak into the top 8 here. Once again, very good forwards in there, such as Julian Alvarez and Antoine Griezmann. You know, Simeone has got the side drilled in pretty well. Once again, though, in typical Atletico fashion, they'll probably drop one too many points here and there, stupidly at home to teams like Bodo Glimt, for example. But still, overall, they'll be very good for the most part. They'll still manage to be clinical. They'll get the wins where they need to get the wins, and they'll do enough here to get a comfortable 11th place in the league phase this year. In 10th place then, finishing on 17 points as well, I've got the Champions League holders, PSG. Now, maybe that's a bit of a surprise for some of you. However, I do believe PSG won't be as good at the start of the season as they were at the end of last season. And we already sort of seen that in their Super Cup performance against Tottenham. Like, they were very lucky in the end to get 2 late goals and to ultimately win the game penalties there as well. But overall, I do believe like this could be a bit of a slow start. I mean, look at last season, PSG, even though they won the Champions League, they finished in around, I think, 24th, 23rd in the league phase, and they still managed to go on to win the Champions League. So maybe this prediction isn't as big of a shock, but in my opinion, the loss of Donnarumma, replacing him with Lucas Chevalier, who, don't get me wrong, is a very good goalkeeper, but still, it's going to take a while for Lucas Chevalier to fully settle in on this PSG side. And overall, I do believe they're going to drop points here and there, lose a couple of games, like Barcelona, for example, as well. Still going to be pretty good from PSG. They'll play some good football, but still won't do enough to finish in the top 8. So in 10th place then, I've got the current holders PSG, and in 9th place finally, also on 17 points, another side, the final side, who will miss out in the top 8. I'm going to go for another English side. This time it is Chelsea. Yes, the champions of the world. Their first game back in the Champions League after nearly 3 years away, but they're back now with new players such as Cole Palmer and Jai Pedro to tear up this competition. And I do believe they will be very good in their return to the Champions League, but still just about won't do enough to get top 8 here. But still, 9th place, if you offer that to any Chelsea fan, I do believe you want to take it. Like, you know, playing some great football already this season, should be very good in the Champions League, but still just about won't do enough to finish in that top 8. So finally then, in 9th place on 17 points, I've gone for Chelsea. And now we finish off the video with my top 8 predictions. Starting off in 8th place on 18 points, I have gone for Real Madrid. Yes, Real Madrid are just about going to squeak through past the likes of PSG, Chelsea and Atletico Madrid into the top 8 here. I do believe overall we're going to see Real Madrid play pretty good. I think they're going to get a couple massive victories, such as against the likes of Man City at home turf. However, then again, in Madrid fashion over the past few years, I do believe they can't see them struggling in a couple of games. I think they'll probably lose away against Liverpool. I can even see them losing at home to Juventus as well. And even away against Carlo Almaty, although many people could think Real Madrid could win that game 6 or 7-0, I do believe still overall that's going to be a bit of a struggle there too. I do believe Carlo Almaty will make Real Madrid struggle there, but overall still, they're a very good squad. Obviously, got some fantastic forwards in there, and so should they still manage to get top 8? Yeah, so in 8th place then, I've got Real Madrid. 7th place then, also in 18 points, but just about edging Real Madrid to a position higher, I've got Arne Slot's Liverpool side. Yes, now, maybe people think this could be a bit too low, but still overall, I do believe Liverpool will be content with 7th place. They finished 1st place last year and only didn't even make the quarterfinals last year. So I think they will be content with finishing 7th place overall. I think that still is a very good position there for Liverpool. I think they will get a couple fantastic victories, such as at home to Real Madrid once again this year. They've got a super squad there at the minute. They need to give it time to gel together still, but overall, even though I'm going to say they don't finish higher than 7th place, I still have a very good squad there, such as Alexander Isak and Hugo Ekitike in the forward line there too. Florian Wirtz in the side there as well. Such a good, well-drilled squad there as well. And are they one of the favourites to win the Champions League this season? 100% yes. So in 7th place then, I've got Liverpool on 18 points. In 6th place then, I've got Bayern Munich finishing on 18 points as well, actually. Now, Bayern Munich as well are another very underrated side under Vincent Kompany, and I do believe once again they will be one of the favourites to win the Champions League this season, because so far, lads, this season, the football they're playing is absolutely exquisite. Of course, their forward line especially you know, with the likes of Sergio Gnabry finding form again. They've also got Luis Diaz in there too. Michael Olise as well, who's turned into a completely world-class winger as well, the Frenchman. And those players playing around one of the best strikers in the world, still in Harry Kane. The amount of goals they're going to score, it's going to be insane. I think they probably are going to be the highest scoring team in the league phase anyway. I think that definitely is safe to say in true Bayern Munich fashion. But overall still, I'm going to say it's going to be a very good Champions League campaign, and ultimately 6th place will be a very good position for the Bavarians. So in 6th place then, I've got Bayern Munich. In 5th place then, maybe this could be one of my most shocking predictions of the entire video, but in 5th place, I've got Napoli of all teams, finishing above the likes of Real Madrid, Liverpool and Bayern Munich to finish 5th place. Yes, 5th place in the Champions League phase. Overall, like Napoli, after a year out of the Champions League, they're back now, and in my opinion, they're here to stay, because their side, in my opinion, lads, is looking absolutely incredible, and I think it's perfect actually for the Champions League. I think we're going to see players such as Kevin De Bruyne once again channel his inner prime self. He's going to be fantastic in this season's Champions League. As well as that, then I'm looking at players such as Romelu Lukaku in the forward line, Rasmus Højlund too. Rasmus Højlund's a fantastic forward when it does come to European competitions, so those two players as well will definitely buy plenty of goals. Scott McTominay as well, really looking forward to seeing how he does get on in the Champions League this year for the Napoli side. Overall, Napoli very, very good, especially going forward, and in my opinion, well drilled defensively as well. This is going to be a fantastic reunion between the Champions League and Napoli this season, and I'm going to say the Italian side will be the shock of the league phase, finishing 5th place and comfortably sealing their place into the round of 16 without even bothering about the playoffs. In 4th place then, hitting the top 4 now, but in 4th place, also on 19 points, similarly to Napoli, I've got the Gunners, Arsenal here. Arsenal over the summer transfer window made some fantastic business, and in my opinion, they're going to be one of the best sides in the league phase this year. You know, looking at players like Victor Gyökeres, finally got a proper goal scorer up top as well, and with the likes of Ebereke Eze, Bukayo Saka, Noni Madueke all playing around him too. Gabriel Martinelli could even mention too. Then behind him in midfield, Martin Zubimendi, Declan Rice, Martin Odegaard. Oh my word, it's an absolutely stacked side there, of course, and their backline as well is better than ever too. Overall, they're looking such a complete side, and in my opinion, they're going to be very, very good in the league phase here. And they're not going to be perfect. They're still going to lose a couple of games here and there against teams such as Inter Milan maybe, but still overall, I do believe this Arsenal side are looking very good. It's going to be a fantastic league phase for them, and Arteta side will manage to get 4th place on 19 points. In 3rd place then, I've gone for FC Barcelona, also similarly to Arsenal and Napoli, on 19 points here. Barcelona definitely, in my opinion, are the favourites of the favourites to win the Champions League this season, because the football they're playing under Hansi Flick is absolutely scary. Because probably two of the best wingers in world football at the minute, in Lamine Yamal and Rafinha on their books. They've also got Robert Lewandowski, who still is good for a couple of goals here and there on their books as well. I know he hasn't really hit best form recently, but I'm looking forward to seeing how Marcus Rashford does perform back in the Champions League, and it's going to be interesting to see how many goals he does get. As well as that, then in the midfield, Pedri's looking like he's one of the best midfielders in the world as each game does go by. Maybe he could even be considered the best midfielder in the world at the minute too. And so overall, like, this Barcelona side's looking very, very good. I think they're going to be one of the highest scoring sides once again in the Champions League this year as well. I'm going to say they're going to easily get victories against some top sides such as, you know, PSG as well. However, it's not going to be straightforward though, because I can see them dropping points away in England against teams like Newcastle and Chelsea as well. But overall, still, it's going to be a fantastic league phase for Barcelona, and Hansi Flick's side, hungry for the Champions League, will finish 3rd place in the league phase. In 2nd place then, on 20 points, I have gone for, just missing out in 1st place, Inter Milan. In my opinion, Inter Milan, yes, lost Champions League final 5-0 last year, but still, in my opinion, they're the best drilled team in the entire competition, and once again, that is going to reflect here. They're going to concede the least amount of goals in the entire league phase. They're going to keep the most clean sheets in the entire league phase as well. Their defence is just so good, and on the forward line too, Lautaro Martinez can be ruthless. As well as that, then Marcus Thuram can be ruthless too. Hakan Çalhanoğlu as well can be a goal scorer as well. DiMarco at left wing back, a very good player there too. Overall, like, in my opinion, even though Simone Inzaghi is left, even though there's a new manager in the door now, Inter Milan are still one of the best teams in the world, one of the best drilled team in the Champions League still as well, for sure. And in my opinion, that's going to get them 2nd place. However, they just about will miss out in 1st place, because in 1st place, 21 points, my side, the top, the Champions League phase this season is unfortunately going to be Man City. Yes, now I know it hasn't been the best start for Man City so far in the Premier League, obviously. However, I do believe still they're going to finish 1st place. They're going to find form finally, because their squad at the moment, lads, I'm sorry, it's just too stacked. Look at their forward line. They got Erling Haaland and Omar Marmoush. They're two strikers to choose from. They're both insane footballers there, and players around him, of course, as well. Phil Foden's around them, Oscar Bobb's around them, Jeremy Doku as well. You know, when he's back from injury, Ryan Cherky will be there too. Their midfield's looking better than ever with Rodri and Tijani Reinders in there too. Bernardo Silva as well is still in there. They've also managed to purchase the best goalkeeper in the world in Gianluigi Donnarumma to completely bolster their defensive line as well. So overall, like, in my opinion, this Man City side, even though they haven't had the best start of the season, on paper they're so good. And in my opinion, they're going to top the Champions League phase, finishing 21 points, winning 7 games, losing 1 game. That will come against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu, in my opinion. But still, overall, Man City will do enough, and Pep's side will top the Champions League phase for this season. Anyway, lads, I'm going to end it as Champions League phase predictions. I hope you have enjoyed it. Of course, remember, lads, don't take these too seriously. By the end of the league phase, these will probably look so stupid. But anyway, what do you think of this video? Let me know down in the comments below. What changes would you make? Let me also know down in the comments below. And finally, lads, would you like to see me do this for the Europa League and Europa Conference League? If you would, then let me know down in the comments below as always. Remember to like the video, subscribe if you're new, click the bell, and follow me over on Instagram. And so then, lads, I'll see you all in the next one here on KDFG.